People are saying the label is purposely not promoting JK and trying to erase his content. We also have people talking about JK and Rose and what their relationship could be due to JK's recent live stream. And then we have mass hate on IU's Instagram account. So hey dumplings, it's Dave Decided. Let's get into it. There's been a lot of political unrest going on in Korea, and of course a lot of it has to do with the craziness that the government has decided to do, and this applies to our lovely IU. But let me give some backstory first. Recently, if you haven't heard the news, the president announced martial law and then decided to retract it right away. Martial law is something that is very extreme and hasn't been done for over 50 years. Or so in South Korea. This was because the president believed that there was a chance that North Korea was going to attack. So they wanted to make sure that the country was set for that, I guess. Now, the thing about martial law is that it's very scary, is that it makes the nation very dystopian. It suspends a lot of human rights, and there's a lot more military and police enforcement. So people are scared that they could say something or do something and have the police right at their door. And it's just a very extreme situation. So for the president to announce martial law and then within like the same day or so take it away, it was a sign for a lot of people that the president was just playing around, like they didn't know what they were doing. Of course, the president argues that there were threats from North Korea and that they really believed that the country was in danger or they wouldn't have done that. However, of course, the ruling or the situation was very controversial. Now, I'll explain how this applies to IU. Of course, after this whole martial law situation, the president was receiving a lot of protests and people who were very angry. And IU, among many other citizens and potential idols, were seen allegedly giving food and helping the protesters. This was seen as very controversial as there were a lot of people who support the president and they don't believe that IU should be the one to get involved like that because it's making a very clear statement to these people that IU is not a fan of the president, allegedly. A lot of people began attacking IU on her Instagram account to basically say that she is an artist and she shouldn't get involved, or they were making it very clear that they were very unapproving of what her statement is. We can interpret her statement in many different ways. I mean, her giving food and supporting protesters could just be an act of kindness to support people who are out there outside protesting. But regardless on what your thoughts are on the president himself, it also shows that IU is someone who thinks of the people and wants to represent the people. Of course, those who don't like that will say bad things. The protest also revolved around the potential impeachment or the desire to impeach the president. And many people were saying that IU shouldn't be involved in trying to get the president impeached or even showing support for the impeachment. But if she wanted to, and she genuinely agreed, she would then make a full statement saying that she supported it, right? As opposed to doing something like this. This could just be something that she genuinely just saw and was like, I would give them food and help them because they look tired. Supporting a protest, regardless of what the protest is about, is supporting free speech in the nation. We also have no idea what she went through, potentially because of martial law being announced for that day. And so while I don't think he is the worst president, and if a lot of those people were to spend time in a different nation, they'll definitely see that the South Korean president is not the worst president. People are entitled to their opinion and on who they believe should serve the nation, and every president and leader will face a moment like this where they might have their people turn against them. But of course, we see this all the time where people have issues with executives or people in charge, and sometimes, and a lot of times, it's justified. When one word or one action can affect millions or even thousands of people are going to have problems with what they say because no matter what a leader says, there is going to be someone who disagrees and doesn't like it. And I think the same thing goes even on a much smaller scale. Like, not even just the president, but even at a label. Recently, people have been upset, very upset, because I guess they were going through the streaming numbers between BTS and JK, and they were noticing that JK's streaming numbers were lower than BTS as a whole, and their streaming numbers. But this makes sense because a group is always going to have higher streaming numbers, because if you're a JK fan, you'll listen to JK's music, but you'll also likely listen to his music if he was in a group. And then you'll have the other solo fans come together alongside other people who like BTS as a whole. So the community is just bigger. Now, some people were saying that it was clear that the label wasn't promoting JK, and if they did, JK would be much bigger than the group. And people were very upset about this because they were saying that it was clear that the label wants to try to erase success or suppress his success or whatever. The thing is, the label did everything the label could do. The fact of the matter is, the label hired Western producers as well as a Western promoting team to stand behind JK and push out his music. There are people who are saying that JK didn't get a single interview or didn't do anything to promote, but that's not true. He went on American talk shows. He also did interviews whenever he had an opportunity to. But Americans don't have variety shows. They just have talk shows where maybe they do something a little fun here and there. But that's about it. A lot of people want to see their celebrity talk or discuss the album or whatever. So that's what JK did. JK had a very full promotion cycle and he was promoted very well in the US. It bothers me because sometimes I feel like people don't understand what promotion is. And I can understand it to a certain degree. People think promotion is when a label or whoever decides to pour money into whatever they're promoting, and the success almost seems unnatural. It seems unprecedented, it's explosive, and then they believe that is promotion. Whereas good promotion and good PR is where it seems natural. So a good publicist might attempt to get the boys' names and recognize all over America, maybe even do a tour all over America, and then attempt to get them on talk shows and all that stuff. So then it seems normal, and then when we watch him, we would think, oh, of course that would happen. But that is very deliberate work for the PR team. And if the PR team didn't do their work, they likely would not land that talk show or that opportunity at all. And people don't like to believe this because they believe that their artist would naturally land that opportunity anyway. The thing is, there are so many people that are trying to be on a talk show, let's say, that are submitting for a talk show. So in order for the casting team or whoever to bring people on board for the show, they have to go through so many submissions from different PR teams, from different artists, on who to put on their show. The bottom line is, shows are never looking to outreach to people. They don't have to, because the top of the top talent is always reaching out to them first. So again, as I said, these are very deliberate efforts and moves to get JK all over the US media, to which the team definitely did do. So I don't like this assumption that they didn't promote him, just because we don't see him on maybe billboards and stuff all over America, which also we did because he was on Calvin Klein, right? And again, that is also a very deliberate choice by the PR team to land him that. Of course, as JK has come back from the military a little bit, not full time, just a little bit on his break to do a little live show, people have been freaking out. It was such a cute moment and people were so excited to see JK in his natural habitat again. People had a conversation about JK singing APT on his live stream. There were definitely some people in the community that were upset that it was clear that JK was singing Blackpink for clout, and Blackpink during their streams never sing a BTS song. Why is JK singing a Blackpink song? Because this is what he does. He sings every single artist, whether American or K-pop star. He is not really picky, and Blackpink, they don't typically do that. They're very deliberate in what they sing because they know that they could get hate if they pick a male star. Now, the reason why JK singing APT is a point of conversation is because people have always thought that JK and Rosé were in a relationship together, and there was always that rumor of them being together. It isn't the most predominant rumor. I think JK and Lisa were the most predominant, but JK and Rosé were definitely one of them. The rumor consists of them wearing the same clothes, and now people will take that moment in which JK is singing her song to mean that they're in a relationship together as well. A lot of people had a lot of assumptions spark up, especially after Rosé went on a bit of a press tour, or was doing press, and she decided to talk about her ex and what some of her songs meant. So this sparked up the dating rumors again, and then some people are now seeing that JK is doing her song. They believe that JK could potentially be one of her exes or was someone that she had just broken up with recently. Now, of course, that is half the community. The other half of the community believes the fact that since JK sang her song, that would imply that he was never in a relationship with her, because Rosé's songs on her album had lyrics like "we were toxic till the end" and things like that, which would imply that the relationship did not end on good terms. And people were saying that JK sang APT very calmly and was like willing to do it, which of course to people implies that there wasn't a romantic relationship there. And I definitely agree. I think that fully shows that they were never in a relationship together, because it would be quite difficult to sing and even hear a song from your ex, especially if they didn't end on good terms. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.